Hello founders, welcome to this 10-part video series on the 10 truths of what it's really like to raise pre-seed and seed funding. We are on part number 6, and the truth in this part is you do not need a fancy network to raise funding at a pre-seed or seed stage. But here's the real truth is you do need to network. You must know how to network, and I'm gonna break this down in this video, and I'm gonna get you going on how to make this happen. Before we continue, my name is Ed Kang. I'm a 7-time funded founder with 2 exits. I'm also an organization development consultant, along with the startup advisor and executive coach. I have been funded 7 times, 7 funded startups with 2 exits. Just means I failed a bunch of times. And I like to use all that experience and pour it into what I do in helping founders or all my clients not make the same mistakes that I've made, or at least avoid the catastrophic level of mistakes and all the heartache and the pain and the hardship, and remove some of the friction, because it's going to be hard enough to fundraise, especially if you are an early stage or a new founder. I have raised over 9 figures of funding in my day through different accelerator programs for my own startups, for other people's startups. I'm also a general partner of multiple accelerator funds, and I was general partner out of one fund, late stage in Shanghai, China. What I learned over there was how to raise money or how to help companies at a late stage who are going to go liquid over a short period of time, as well as alternative funding accelerator and a venture studio here in North America. So I've seen it all. Let's jump into what it's going to take to raise pre-seed and seed funding in terms of networking. Now, it would really help if you came from Harvard. It would really help if you graduated from computer engineering in Stanford. I get it. It would really help if you have a wealthy family and you're uber connected, or you're famous, or your parents are famous. I get it. A lot of people use that to their advantage. If that's you, more power to you. Don't take it for granted. But let's say you came from nothing. Like me, I did not have any network whatsoever. When I started my startup career, I moved down out of Canada because I didn't know anybody in Canada, went down to school, and I started networking from scratch in Florida. And now I enjoy an amazing network. I like to say my network is my net worth and the valuation of my company. It all happens so fast, but takes years and years and years to become an overnight success. It takes that amount of hard work to seemingly become successful overnight. And that's the reason you have to accept this truth that you don't need to start with a network, but you have to get going right now in terms of your networking skills. And I'm going to show you a real interesting way to approach it, which is going to supercharge your networking skills. One of the things that a founder told me when it comes to fundraising, and it was really funny, he said, the best advice that I can give anybody is learn how to make friends with rich people. At the risk of being reductive, made a lot of sense, because when you get to those circles, people want to introduce you because it makes them look good. If you are a formidable founder and you are building a unicorn sitting in a rocket ship ready to go and up and to the right when it comes to your growth graph, exponential growth, yeah, I'm going to introduce you to people that I know in terms of the investment circles, because they're going to thank me, and that's social capital. The more you can get into that mode, the more your network is going to expand and ripple out eventually to get you to the 6th degree of separation, where you meet the perfect investor, partner, client, collaborator, doesn't matter, whatever you're looking for. I have taught in the past, you're only 6 degrees of separation away from the perfect investor. You just have to be willing to network your way to that degree. It's like that game, 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. Someone gives you an actor, and then eventually you go all the way to the point where eventually you get to Kevin Bacon. Well, Kevin Bacon is that perfect investor. And that's based on a real world theory that you're only 6 degrees of separation away from the perfect investor. I know a founder of a real cool, neat little startup that takes kids and, well, I call them kids, but really they're students in a gap year. And what happens is he teaches them and says, you have to eventually be, and he told me this story, you have to get in front of someone who's played an instrument at Carnegie Hall. And they go, we don't know anybody. We're just a bunch of high school kids. And he goes, figure it out. And he was teaching them the principle of 6 degrees of separation. So they all start making phone calls, and eventually, sure enough, they are interviewing someone. They're in the home of a piano player who played at Carnegie Hall. It's the same thing with investors. Pick any investor, eventually 6 degrees, you're going to get there. Pick the guys in Shark Tank. Pick Kevin O'Leary or Mark Cuban. There are 6 degrees that you're going to get there. You just have to know which degree out of the 360 that you can go, which direction you need to start in to get you there. Here's how you network. Think of it in terms of being in sales. You are building a sales network. And I've got other videos on this that you can go check out, but it works like this. S-A-L-E-S, sales. And this is your action item. I want you to write this down, and I want you to think about, how do I practice each of these steps? The first sales step is S for serve. When you are networking, you do not come in hot and say, I want you to invest in my startup, or I want you to introduce me to investors. It happens all the time at startups.com, where someone just walks in, pays their membership, and says, all right, where are my warm intros to your investors? And I don't know them at all. And it's all about me, or they're making it me. It doesn't work that way. When I go into a network, I think, how do I serve? When I meet someone, I think to myself, how can I help you? Even if it's just for a momentary conversation to make you feel good or make you happy that you actually met me and your life is a little better now that we've crossed paths. Or I'll always say, who do you want to meet? Or what problems can I solve for you? Or can I introduce you to someone who's going to solve that particular problem? I just ask, how can I be helpful? Next is I ask a lot of questions. I ask them about their background. I ask them about what their investment thesis is or how they got into it. I ask them their opinions, what they're looking at. I ask them for advice. I ask them to coach me, mentor me, to keep educating me. And I always put myself in a position of being coachable and learning. So not only am I serving, saying, what value can I bring to you immediately, then I ask them questions and I start to see if they're chattering along or they're taking me under their wing. I've had some amazing people say, you know what, I want you to read this book and then I want you to book another time with me. And we've gotten in like this little book club and where we go back and forth. And these books have been amazing and they've helped me in other parts of my life. That has been so tremendous when I ask a whole bunch of questions and I keep asking. Next is I listen. So S-A-L, L is for listen. I listen and I demonstrate to them that I know how to actively listen, and I reflect back to them what they've shared. I will reiterate or I will invoke previous points they made, and I'll say things like, that's the reason last time you told me about this, and that sends a signal to them that makes them like me. That's what I want. I want them to bond with me and say, wow, I really like this guy. This guy's been listening to my conversation. You're really listening. Pay attention to names, dates, times, things like that. I'll just say, oh yeah, great. Don't you have an anniversary coming up or something along those lines? Or I'll say, how was that thing that you went to? Or how are you feeling? Because maybe they told me just in a passing comment that they were feeling a little under the weather. So I listen to them. I ask them questions and then I listen to them and then I reflect back to them and demonstrate that I am listening. Next is I use my emotional intelligence. That's the E. S-A-L-E, emotional intelligence. Very important. If you don't know what emotional intelligence is, short, little tiny description is that's how you get your emotions working for you versus against you. It's all about being aware of your emotions, regulating your emotions, using emotions properly, and communicating using emotions in an appropriate way that builds that connection to them. And so look up emotional intelligence and figure out how to do it. A quick way to start going about it is start using emotional vocabulary. I'll say things to people such as, I feel a little insecure asking this question. That creates that emotional connection. Emotional intelligence takes a lifetime to learn. I just happen to be certified in emotional intelligence and I've spent decade learning about it and practicing it. But start today because it is a skill that is going to help you for the rest of your life, not just in your startup, not just raising money, but in your family, raising your children, or building a very large company where you're working with so many different people. The last is S, summary. And I'll summarize the conversation every time. Do you mind if I just summarize the conversation we talked about, make a little suggestion on where we could go next? But I do it in a way that is a natural extension of my conversation when I'm networking. I'll say something like, yeah, this has been a really great conversation. What I've heard you say is this, this, and this. This is what you're looking for. How about I do this? I'll go back and let me rustle up those context for you, but would you be open to listening to my pitch and giving me some advice? Can we have another part 2? Because this has been amazing. And by that time, they're eating out of the palm of your hand. Not in a negative, manipulative way, but they are bonded to you and they say, I really like talking to this guy. This person brings value into my life. He's not just going right at it and trying to ram something down my throat, which is what happens at networking events or happens every time that you meet new people. Nobody wants to network with you. Learn the skills to network because your network is your net worth and eventually your company valuation. Start looking at the sales method and try to put into practice right away. It's not going to go as fast as you want right out of the gate. But remember, sometimes you have to go slow to eventually go really fast and grow really big. That's that exponential curve. Take the time, invest into it, and it may take months, may take years, but eventually you will become that overnight success. After all those hours of hard work, you're going to get lucky because, as we talked about before, sometimes you just have to work really hard to be lucky. You can't take advantage of luck, meaning that right person at the right time. If you're not prepared, you're not willing to use the sales method and serve, ask, listen, use your emotional intelligence skills, and summarize. Hope that was helpful. Those are techniques that I use every single day. I want you to take them, run with them, and become super successful. Go raise that first pre-seed or seed check, and then come back and let me know how it went. If you like this, please comment, subscribe, give it a thumbs up. I appreciate you doing all the social media stuff. And if you're already with me, part of Startups.com, Startup Community, or any of the accelerator programs that I participate in, thank you so much. Your support is super appreciated. Stick around. We're going to do part 7 next time. I'll see you in that next video.